Investigations begin into a plane crash in St. Croix that left all 5 occupants dead. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Friday, December 8 from the CMC News Center in Bridgetown. I'm Ricardo Roberts. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. 5 people were killed when a private chartered plane crashed soon after taking off from the Henry E. Rolson Airport in St. Croix on Thursday night. No one survived the crash, which occurred around 8:45 p.m. Police Commissioner Delroy Richards told the media that soon after the plane took off from the airport, it experienced engine problems with flames coming from one of its 2 engines. He said the pilot circled back and attempted to land at the airport, but the plane crashed in a field near the runway. Commander of St. Croix Rescue's extrication team, David Goodridge, said that by the time they arrived on the scene, there was nothing they could do. Media reports indicate that among the dead was a member of the Styley Band, one of the territory's premier musical groups. But spokeswoman for the Virgin Islands Port Authority, Monifa Brathwaite, said officials were not yet able to release the names of the deceased. Caribbean leaders opened their 6th summit with Cuba on Friday, pledging to solidify their relations. A call was also made for the United States to remove the decades-old trade and economic embargo against the Spanish-speaking nation. Speaking at the summit in Antigua and Barbuda, Cuba's President Raul Castro said Havana would never forget the role played by Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, Guyana and Jamaica 45 years ago when those countries established diplomatic relations with Cuba despite pressure from the United States.
We shall never forget that resolution, for it was a fundamental step toward breaking off the diplomatic and commercial siege led around Cuba. At the same time, it enabled the strengthening of relations among the peoples of our America, brought together by centuries of shared history, culture, and neighborhood. We also take pride in the celebration of the 15th anniversary of the CARICOM-Cuba summits, whose agreements and achievements have led to a more profound and effective relationship based on solidarity and cooperation.
Among the highlights of the summit will be the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, SEDEMA, and Cuba's Agency for Civil Defense. The MOU will provide opportunities for closer collaboration, especially following the devastating impact of the September 27 hurricanes in the region and the increased focus on climate change resilience. There will also be a review of the status of CARICOM-Cuba cooperation in commercial and economic areas. President Castro used the opportunity to reiterate his country's support for the non-interference of outside entities in Venezuela's constitution.
Therefore, we should not permit that the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, one of our Latin American and Caribbean nations, suffer from continuous actions aimed at the destruction of its constitutional order. Cuba reaffirms its enduring solidarity with and support for the heroic people of Venezuela and its civic military union, for the Bolivarian and Chavista government headed by President Nicolás Maduro Moro.
Over to Trinidad and Tobago, where that government's attempt to reintroduce anti-gang legislation failed after the main opposition United National Congress voted against it. And Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has warned that more people will die because of that. At a press conference on Thursday, he said he was left in shock and disbelief after opposition members withheld their support for the crucial crime-fighting bill, even after his government conceded on every single one of their demands.
The question we have to ask comes from a calypso. How many more must die? As the country's murder toll surpasses that of 2016, many have been calling on the government to take action. But the government is now claiming it is being actively undermined by the opposition UNC in its attempt to empower law enforcement through anti-gang legislation.
Because I'll tell you something, more people will die as a result of the action of the UNC this morning.
Less than 24 hours after the bill's defeat, the Prime Minister called a news conference to explain that his government bent over backwards to accommodate the opposition. During debate, however, Dr. Keith Rowley sensed the opposition's hesitancy.
I called the opposition chief whip behind the Speaker's chair and I asked Mr. David Lee, what are the impediments standing in the way of your team?
The opposition asked for sedition to be removed from the Anti-Gang Act and for a sunset clause.
Said that it? Said yes, okay. I said okay, done.
The PM said he instructed his members to make the adjustments. Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi said after changes were made, the opposition had no objections to the 18 clauses.
When we came to the vote to the opposition, it started with no. And it included, according to Dr. Gopi Singh, a big fat no.
Dr. Rowley suspects the opposition voted against the bill for one specific reason.
So as the murders continue, those politicians in that group could point to the crime and the criminality and the number of murders and so on and call Trinidad and Tobago a failed state and hope that you, the voters, will be disgusted with those in office and that you will put them in office.
Admitting that he did not want to believe the opposition was protecting criminals, he feels it is part of the UNC's strategy to leave gangs largely in PNM constituencies.
And therefore it ought to be left to fester like a cancer and overcome the PNM.
And he says the opposition's action in the parliament spoke for itself.
Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa and her UNC gang and cabal voted to maintain the status quo.
Dr. Rowley says the government will redouble its crime-fighting efforts, for it will be another 6 months before the anti-gang bill can return to the parliament.
And that report from CNC3's Ria Rambali. Well, opposition MP Barry Padarath said his side's decision was taken in the best interest of citizens. He said the opposition was prepared to lend its support to government, but it changed its position when the Attorney General refused to compromise on several amendments.
The issue of being able to hold persons, search their premises without a warrant issued by a judge or a magistrate. That was one of the areas that we looked at. That the other area, Hema, that we looked at is that if you look at, I believe it was clause 15 or 16, it gives policing powers to other state agencies that don't usually have that sort of power.
The Princestown MP is putting the blame for the failure of the legislation on government's shoulders and questioned why the opposition's recommendations were not taken on board.
Having rejected the opposition's support, I believe now the onus is on them to explain to the population why they rejected the opposition support, when today we could have been taking a step further, but instead they refused to compromise. Again, I said, you know, it was really sad to see the Prime Minister behave in such a stubborn, bull-headed way.
Staying in Trinidad and Tobago, a review of the police service has found that some politicians are empowering criminal elements by trading state contracts for support. The Police Manpower Audit Committee says that alliance not only gives criminals a sense of entitlement, but is also getting in the way of police investigations. The committee's final report was discussed at a meeting of the Joint Select Committee on National Security on Thursday. Akat Samaru of CNC3 News reports.
The Manpower Audit Committee says there are several issues it uncovered when it did a qualitative and quantitative assessment of the police service, which includes crooked officers.
When an investigation or a raid, as you might say, is planned, the leaks come so quickly that before the police arrive at the scene of investigation, the target groups are already notified.
And if that wasn't challenging enough, the committee says it uncovered that politicians have a hand in influencing police investigations by giving out contracts to appease known criminals.
When the police investigate a crime committed by any one of such criminals, the police get either sidetracked or obstructed in several ways. That is, entering into a terrain that is almost untouchable.
The former Police Service Commission chairman says the committee was surprised to know that this has been going on for such a long time and says it does affect effective policing.
And it does affect effective policing in the particular sense I mentioned in terms of police initiating an investigation. And such people, there is quite often or not political intervention, and the target groups feel so empowered enough so as to even challenge the police in executing the duty.
Deputy Police Commissioner Harold Phillip, who is also on the committee, says historically there's been that perception that gang leaders seem to be rewarded with government contracts.
And in so doing, they seem the allegiances in terms of persons who support them, be it gang members, associates, whatever, they seem to have resources that allow them to continue being involved in criminal activities. They invest quite a substantial amount of their resources into criminal activity.
Coming up in Caribbean Newsline, Jamaican and U.S. officials working together in a probe into the discovery of a massive arms shipment. That details of that story and more when we return.
Come, sail with us through our ocean blues, where there's a blessed land that's waiting for you. Look, listen, feel. Realize your dream escape that's magically surreal. The best kept secret, a place you'll never forget, where adventure beckons with every gentle footstep. From lush mountain green to warm volcanic sand, submerged in splendor, our 32 enchanting islands. A kaleidoscope of experiences. No need to look anymore. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Caribbean you're looking for.
Did you know that a strategy has been developed to help improve the region's education and human resources?
You didn't? Well, the HID strategy, as it is called, will guide CARICOM in how it delivers quality education and training to the people of the region.
The strategy has been crafted by a group of experts called the HRD Commission.
Consultations have been done across the region to get your input.
Do you know that none of us will be left behind?
The HRD strategy is important to all of us, students, parents, and employers. It will prepare the region, especially the youth, for the 21st century economy and society.
The HRD strategy, unlocking Caribbean human potential.
In a place where legends start, the beach is just the beginning. So live a little for the exhilaration and the color of every moment, where time is and life is a spirited event. Immerse yourself in the culture, the music, the people, the island. Love Antigua and Barbuda. Embrace an experience that leaves you breathless, from cricket to sailing week to carnival and more. Antigua and Barbuda, the beach is just the beginning.
Jamaica's Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Investigation Branch, CTOC, is working with U.S. Customs and Border Protection in probing the discovery of a massive shipment of guns and ammunition in Miami, which was destined for the Caribbean island. It has been revealed that the shipment of 117 guns and hundreds of rounds of ammunition was intercepted at the Miami International Airport last month. TVJ's Janella Pursues has the details.
U.S. Customs personnel were conducting a routine inspection of a shipment said to contain personal effects to be placed on a flight destined for Montego Bay. A detailed inspection revealed various food items, a cardboard box labeled as a 4-drawer dresser, and a cardboard box labeled as a television stand. Further checks of the items revealed the shipment of weapons, 2 high-powered rifles, 115 pistols, 139 magazines, as well as more than 200 rounds of ammunition were found. 9 handgun bag straps, 5 magazine parts, 3 pistol grips and 3 buttstocks and weapon parts were also discovered. A senior investigator told TVJ News that Jamaican police had been working closely with their American counterparts to identify and capture the individuals behind the gun shipment. However, the covert operation reportedly went bust. He said the guns and ammunition were destined for criminal gangs in Montego Bay. The investigator said the cops are now trying to determine whether the latest find is linked to last month's gun find at the Kingston terminal, in which 19 weapons and more than 4,000 rounds were intercepted. A spokesman for the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol Florida office told TVJ News that, quote, as there is an ongoing investigation, it is the agency's policy not to release additional information at this time, unquote.
Staying in Jamaica, payment of compensation to the residents of West Kingston who suffered losses and property damage during the May 2010 operation by security forces will begin within days. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck has told RJR News that arrangements are being made for payouts to begin. The report of the West Kingston Compensation Committee tabled in the House of Representatives on Wednesday revealed that scores of people would get payments mainly for damage to their homes and contents when the police and military conducted operations during the hunt for drug lord Christopher Dudus Coke. The revised 2017-2018 budget includes $449 million to pay the monies. Over in Dominica, the Waterfront and Allied Workers Union is claiming that workers are being fired for not helping in post-Hurricane Maria cleanups at their workplaces. The union's Secretary General Curtis Augustus says they are dealing with several cases in which employees were sent home for not participating in activities that he considers voluntary. He says the cleanup of business places should not be mandatory and workers should be given a choice as to whether they want to help or not.
What have happened is cause for tremendous concern. And I was always of the view that people should not be discriminated by virtue of the fact that they did not turn up to clean some of the compounds that where they were working. It is really true and truly a sort of cooperative venture if they do so, but nothing can be forced upon them because they are not janitors and they are not cleaners. And if their management would want them to assist in that, so should they say and allow the employees to make a determination. Now, it is not fair to an employee whose house or home have been ravaged by Maria to give greater priority to the place where they work as opposed to the place where they live.
Earlier this week, Labour Commissioner Dr. Matthew Leblanc said his office had been made aware of the situation and urged employers not to take advantage of workers. And ahead in Newsline Sport, West Indies interim captain says partnerships will be key in the second test against New Zealand. Stay with us. Sport is next.
In a place where legends start, the beach is just the beginning. So live a little for the exhilaration and the colour of every moment, where time is and life is a spirited event. Immerse yourself in the culture, the music, the people, the island. Love Antigua and Barbuda. Embrace an experience that leaves you breathless, from cricket to sailing week to carnival and more. Antigua and Barbuda, the beach is just the beginning.
Did you know that a strategy has been developed to help improve the region's education and human resources?
You didn't? Well, the HID strategy, as it is called, will guide CARICOM in how it delivers quality education and training to the people of the region.
The strategy has been crafted by a group of experts called the HRD Commission.
Consultations have been done across the region to get your input.
Do you know that none of us will be left behind?
The HRD strategy is important to all of us, students, parents, and employers. It will prepare the region, especially the youth, for the 21st century economy and society.
The HRD strategy, unlocking Caribbean human potential.
Grow your business or promote your event through the services offered by the Caribbean Media Corporation and CaribVision. Our distribution provides a platform on cable, terrestrial television, and websites. We cover carnivals and events from across the region. We can bring your event live and alive to the world. For music makers, program producers, businesses, we can expand your reach to in excess of 2 million households daily. Our other services include news updates to enhance your media products, studio space for program and development. We can facilitate the launch of new products and services and training. Contact us and we will help you unleash your creative ability, develop products and services, and provide the medium to watch them grow. Contact Loretta Skeet at cmccaribbean.com or call her 1-246-467-1044 or 1-246-253-3889. Call and book your carnival or event today.
Cricket tops our weekend sportscast. Stand-in captain for the regional men's squad, Craig Brathwaite, is looking forward for solid partnerships to be built in the second test against New Zealand. The Windies had looked to bounce back from their innings defeat in the opening test at the Basin Reserve at Wellington. They shaped up better in the second innings, reaching 214 for 2 at the end of the third day before collapsing on the fourth day. But Brathwaite says the partnerships will be key in the second test.
I mean, yes, it's history, but I don't think we could forget it. As you said, we had a bad start first game, we bounced back. Also, we lost the first game here, and it's key for us to bounce back, and that's what we'll be looking to do. Obviously, there are some key moments in that game where we can take forward to this game to help us, and it's just fighting through tough periods and getting big partnerships. And that's something we can bring forward, and that will help us, from the batting side, but also bowling, we still have to stay disciplined and as aggressive as possible.
Brathwaite received the call to lead the side after his superb knock of 91 in the second innings in the first test and following Jason Holder's suspension, and he says he's eager to get on the job.
Well, yeah, as opening batsman, I like to lead, from the front, as the opening batsman, and that's something I back myself on, leading from the front, being a leader, and really looking forward to the challenge, captaining the West Indies in the second test.
Meanwhile, West Indies head coach Stuart Law believes Brathwaite's level-headed nature will make the job of transitioning to test captain much easier. Law said, quote, Craig is the vice captain, so it won't be a big shock to the team, and we are confident we have adequate cover to replace Jason. He's very calm. He is a level-headed young man, and you see it from the way he plays the game. He has led Windies teams at all levels since he was a kid, so we know we will do the job that's required. We will miss Jason's quality, batting and bowling, but it will be a seamless replacement, end quote. Now, the highlight for the Caribbean side was their big victory over Pakistan in Barbados in May and a famous triumph over England at Headingley last August. Law said, quote, we have some real quality players and limited experience at this stage, but every day is a new experience. We are a developing team, and when you are in development mode, you have good days and bad days. You're going to have some really good days, and you're going to have some really bad days. We put down day one of the last test to one of those that didn't quite work out for us, but We got it right in the second innings. We had done that on day one. It may have been a different story, end quote. Over to football now. An international-based player is throwing his support behind Reggae Boys head coach Theodore Whitmore to use more homegrown players for national duty. Central defender for the Jamaican side, Damian Lowe, who also plays for Norwegian First Division, believes that locally based players are worthy of representing Jamaica in international and regional competitions. More in this report.
Jamaican international Damian Lowe has added his voice to those urging football's local governing body and potential sponsors to throw their support behind head coach Theodore Whitmore as he puts more faith in homegrown talent. Jamaica reached the final of both the Caribbean Cup and the CONCACAF Gold Cup with a team largely made up of local grown talent. Speaking on Hits 92 FM's Girls Sports Club, Lowe, who was a member of that team, noted that there is a place for overseas-born players, but there must be a balance.
If a player is born in England, Jamaican grandparents, wants him good, he should play, you know, baller. You know, once he can contribute to the team, you know, he might come and score a goal to qualify for the World Cup. You're going to say he was born in England, you know? It's just stuff like that, but I mean, it was very overwhelming. I mean, there was hardly any, you know, homegrown, and I think at the Gold Cup, we opened a lot of eyes and we opened a lot of doors. You know, we kicked down doors and I'm happy.
Lowe, who earned his...
And that's the sport. We'll be right back. Again, the major developments of this day. Investigations begin into a plane crash in St. Croix that left all 5 occupants dead. And in sports, stand-in captain for the regional men's squad, Craig Braffett, is looking for solid partnerships to be formed in the second test against New Zealand. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sports round the clock, log on to CarnaNews.com. We'll be back here again on Monday. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching. Have yourselves a good night.